3, 2, 1. Hey friends, Janky here, and welcome to another episode of Hanging with Janky. I'm delighted to be back here again with you all for another week of gaming news. Let's get to it. There is so much to be talking about. First up, let's talk about that classic game, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, and what we know about the 1.0 update. So I'm sure a lot of you already know about PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, or PUBG as a lot of people call it. I call it that. And you know that it's a phenomenon, right? You know, everyone's playing it. It beat out Dota on Steam for the most played game. It was the highest, most viewed game on Twitch for a while. Huge. But the thing about it is that it's still in early access on Steam, which means that it hasn't officially released yet. And the PUBG team has said that they would very much like to have it released by the end of the year, which I find questionable just because there are a lot of problems, I think, still in the game, especially with rendering issues and stuff like that. But we'll pass that by. And I want to talk to you guys about some of the things that are apparently coming with a 1.0 update. Data miners have been digging around in PUBG's code to figure out what's going on. Of course, PUBG themselves released some screenshots of the new desert map, which looks pretty hype. I'm not gonna lie, it looks pretty awesome. I'm excited for it. There's a couple real big cityscapes with actual skyscrapers and stuff to explore, so I think that'll be really cool, especially for sniping spots and stuff. I think they're definitely playing into that. And of course, PUBG recently had vaulting on their test servers, and there were some issues with that. Particularly, people would get into places that it doesn't seem like they should be able to get, but because the game isn't the game wasn't built to allow people to parkour everywhere, so you could get away with some ridiculous stuff that you wouldn't be able to get away with if the game had actually been built with vaulting in mind, but that is what it is. But in addition to all of that, we also heard that there will be new drivable vehicles, which is something that the data miners found. They found some pictures of the new drivable vehicles, jet skis, big old trucks, VW minibuses, which all look super cool. Not to mention a lot of really sweet new cosmetic stuff, which of course will be sold on the Steam store for thousands of dollars that people will actually pay. It's incredibly confusing to me. Rest assured, if I get a bandana for being part of the early access, I will sell that for thousands. If that's what I get for it, I will sell thousands. Also on the docket for this week, let's talk about the Game Awards because those are coming up. Of course, most of the movie and television awards happen more in early spring, but a lot of the Game Awards happen toward the end of the year, including things like Game of the Year, Most Anticipated, all this good stuff. And of course, the Game Awards, which are the Game Awards, they're actually called the Game Awards. It is currently open for voting right now. So you could go to the Game Awards, you can check out all the games that they have listed, and you can place your vote. If you want to hear more about the game categories and everything, I would suggest checking out the latest Pop Cultured podcast over on my channel, where Joe, Noah, and I go through all of the categories of the Game Awards, and we all tell what our votes were and what our top picks were and who will probably actually win the award, all that good stuff. But if you want to participate, definitely go check it out at thegameawards.com and place your votes. And while we're on this topic, I actually do want to say they already awarded the Golden Joystick Awards, which is another set of game awards, and the Ultimate Game of the Year was won by Legend of Zelda. And it was absolutely hilarious because the Zelda team thanked Super Mario Odyssey for only being out a week whenever voting closed. Or they never would have won. They were like, look, we're so happy that Super Mario Odyssey released a week before voting closed, or Legend of Zelda probably wouldn't have won. So thank you to Mario and their team. It was great. While we're talking about popular games, let's talk about Hitman and the possible Hulu series that they're working on. So I'm sure maybe some of you have probably heard of the Hitman series. Maybe a lot of you out there have played it yourselves. But for those of you who don't know, Hitman is a really popular video game series in which you play a hitman named Agent 47, and you play through levels and you have to hit certain targets and then you have to do certain tasks, and that's how you kind of move through the game. It's really cool. I've seen people play it. It seems like it'd be really interesting. There's a lot of stealth elements involved and stuff like that. And it's just very popular. It's very popular as a series. And so, of course, in the day and age when Amazon and Netflix and Hulu want to turn everything into a series for their respective services, Hitman is getting a series on Hulu. The primary concern here is that Hitman has already tried to go media before. They made a couple of Hitman movies, Hitman and Hitman Agent 47, both of which flopped pretty hard. Like, they got real negative reviews, no one was super into them. It was very sad. So the question is Hitman going to work better as an online series on a service like Hulu? Maybe. I mean, I think that online series, they're better in that you're able to tell the story slower than you can in a movie, right? Because, I mean, that's essentially what a TV series is. It's like one very long movie that takes several hours to tell, but you watch the hours in small bites. Unless you're a binge watcher, in which case you watch them all at once. But however you prefer to watch things online, I think that we should give it a chance, see how it goes. I mean, I'll tell you what, I loved Castlevania. I thought that Netflix's Castlevania series was pretty dope. I think that the style that they did it in was really awesome. Of course, the Hitman series I don't think is going to be animated, which is a shame because you can do a lot of real cool things in animation. But then again, we haven't seen Castlevania Season 2, which I'm sort of bummed about because that definitely ended on like a huge cliffhanger that just... Like, it was all set up. Like, it was all just set up for Season 2, and then Season 2 hasn't happened yet. What's up with that, Netflix? Get on that. Get on that, Netflix. Alright, so let's talk about the big thing that happened this week, which is the release of EA's Star Wars Battlefront II. So I don't want to get too much into the game itself this week, just because I think I'm going to make a Janky's Lab review for it, because I have played it, and I definitely checked it out, and there's lots of cool things to talk about. So for now, I think I'm just going to talk about some of the other things that happened leading up to the release, and a couple of things that happened with the release. Primarily, the Reddit post that EA did. It was the most downvoted Reddit post in the history of Reddit. I don't know how much you know about Battlefront, but basically, in the game, part of the game is that you can become Star Wars heroes. Like, you reach a certain amount of, like, points that you accumulate over a match, and then you can spend those points to become a hero in the game. Now, most of these heroes, or, yeah, most, I would say, they're automatically there. You know, they're just free. But other heroes, like classic heroes, like Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader, I think Lando Calrissian, you have to unlock him. You had to unlock them, and you unlock them by earning credits, which is the in-game currency, and that you earn from matches, and then you have to unlock the heroes. The problem with this was that EA had originally said it would take 60,000 credits to unlock Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker, and none of the other unlockable heroes were unlockable for anything less than 20,000, which is a ridiculous amount. So someone actually went through and did the math and found out it would take you 40 hours of just playing the game, not spending credits on anything else, to unlock Luke and Darth Vader. Well, just one, actually. Just either Luke or Darth Vader, which was absolutely insane. The internet blew up about it. Someone posted on Reddit about it, and EA responded with this ridiculous Reddit post that was just like, we just thought about it, and we just wanted people to feel like they earned it, you know? The intent is to provide players with a sense of pride and accomplishment for unlocking different heroes. As for cost, we selected initial values based upon data from the open beta and other adjustments made to milestone rewards before launch. Among other things, we're looking at average per player credit earn rates on a daily basis, and we'll be making constant adjustments to ensure that players have challenges that are compelling, rewarding, and, of course, attainable via gameplay. We appreciate the candid feedback and the passion that the community has put forth around the current topics here on Reddit, our forums, and across numerous social media outlets. Our team will continue to make changes and monitor community feedback and update everyone as soon and as often as we can. I should also point out though that EA had a Reddit AMA not that long afterward, and people said it didn't go well only because there were some people who were definitely being super toxic toward EA about it, which, I mean, okay, you're not happy with the company's decisions, I get that. But there were also plenty of people who were trying to give them actual good critiquing feedback. And you know what? EA kind of listened. Right before the game launched, they ended up taking out the premium currency from the game. So the crystals, which you can use to buy loot boxes, which are of course one of the most controversial things about Battlefront 2, they were removed before the game launched. And so I got on yesterday, on launch day, and you could buy crystals. You could still get loot crates through the credit system, which means you just had to play games and earn credits that way, but you couldn't just straight up buy crystals. So I mean, they were kind of listening, sort of. I have to try to give them a little credit for that, I guess. Anyway, the rest of Battlefront I will be talking about on Janky's lab, because there's a lot of in-game things that I definitely want to mention. But yeah, that's kind of what's been going on with Battlefront in the week up to launch. So, interesting stuff. Cool stuff. And the last thing for today, for all of you D&D players out there, Xanathar's Guide to Everything has released. So for those of you who don't play Dungeons & Dragons, here's a little background for you. Dungeons & Dragons has been around for a while, since the 60s, 70s, somewhere in there, and has been through several editions. Now, editions happen whenever there's a giant change in the rules of the game. So we've had 1st edition, 2nd edition, 3, 3.5, 4th, and now we are currently on what is known as Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. Now, currently, Dungeons & Dragons is being managed by the company known as Wizards of the Coast, and every so often, they release updates. So it's not really a full overhaul of the rules, it's just little additions of things like extra character races or classes or extra traps or monsters to add in, stuff like that. And so, recently, they released Xanathar's Guide to Everything, which is the new update. It adds a whole bunch of new subclasses, 25 new subclasses for characters to use, including things like the Arcane Archer, the Circle of Dreams Druid, the Horizon Walker Ranger. Of course, this really probably means nothing to people who don't play D&D, but the point being, if you are in D&D, this is some pretty exciting stuff because it lets you do a lot of cool new things with your characters. Plus, some of these are things that people have been working on their own. So, character classes that people have just made up, and Wizards of the Coast has been accepting them as canon now and sort of balancing them out and making sure that they actually work in the game so that no one's overpowered or underpowered or anything like that. And so it's just always cool whenever they release a new update because that gives us so much more character to mess around with and play with, and it's super cool. So if you play D&D, of course, I'm sure you're very excited. If you don't, I highly encourage you to check out some D&D because it's super cool, it's super fun, and it's a blast. It's a blast to play with friends. And that's all I have for gaming news for the week, so let's round out the week as we always do by thanking new subscribers. Now, I can't actually personally thank new subscribers today because YouTube won't show me who the new subscribers are, but we are up to 322 members of the Jank Squad over here on YouTube, which I'm super jazzed about. Thank you all so much for being a part of the squad. If you are one of those subscribers, let me know so I can thank you on next week's Hanging with Janky because I do like to thank you guys personally. But of course, thank you all for being here. I appreciate you all. I love you all. You're all awesome people. Keep being you. Keep being awesome and unique and individual just like you are. And I love you all so much. Thank you. And that wraps it up for this week's Hanging with Janky. So I hope you guys liked it. If you did, feel free to leave a like down below. Comments, positive or negative, feel free to leave those below as well. But more than anything, I hope you have a lovely day, evening, or whenever you happen to be watching. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, this is Janky Shenanigans, signing out.